There's so many Skylanders games.
Another one.
How many Skylanders did they make?
Another one.
It never ends. Generic intro into that goes me. We're back with another Scott Wallace video, and today we're doing Toys to Life, which has a ton of views, but I see Skylanders, Disney Infinity, Dimensions. I don't know what really any of these are. I have no experience with any of these games, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. Alright.
Hey y'all, Scott here. I finally found a use for that 24 hours of spare time I just had.
What?
It's all been building up to this.
What? How do you get that,
I'm
please?
gonna be God, the first 24-year-old one to be exact. I woke up
Wow.
yesterday and realized God
Congrats.
can't die. And I've never died before. So my first order of business is to bring
Checks
inanimate
out.
objects to life. I decided to
Oh.
buy anything labeled as a toy at Spencer's Gifts, not showing those. I'm gonna give them mortality because damn it, if
Everybody
you
knows
were
the back
God,
of
you
Spencer's.
would too. The hell do I do now? I'm all for wasting money. I can always
Golf.
sell them to get more. And video games are pricey buggers. I mean, back in the 90s, you'd be paying $70, $80 to be disappointed. Eventually, console games went
first
down to
NES
$50,
cartridge.
then rose to 60, and then 70 again. But even with these prices, that's not enough for these companies. Do you think he's satisfied? Expansions,
Taylor for that.
downloadable content, microtransactions,
Shantae.
any possible revenue stream out there. These companies want them, but gamers know better. They're
No, they don't.
gamers. Many players have become well versed in these methods to get more money, so it's up to these companies to figure out ways to mask their money-hungry tactics. Nah, I'm not trying to kill you. I'm just making eggs. And in 2011,
Oh, he can
something
afford eggs.
happened
Wow.
that changed the video game industry. None of you would be here without him. Something else happened.
I think I
and it
have
was the start of a new
that game.
genre leading
Oh.
to all kinds of possibilities in depth. Toys to Life. The
My very
idea
first
of
amiibo
releasing
as well,
a game for
that Taylor also
$100
sent
that's
me.
incomplete and forces you to scan figurines
That
sold
kind.
separately to unlock characters already in the game's files is fucking stupid. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
it is.
There has always been
I know
a
nothing
lust
about
for
these.
putting elements of real life into video games, and yep, that counts. Using a camera to insert yourself or your objects into the game world,
Insert
or even
yourself.
something as
Ayo.
simple as character creators. It's just flat out cool, and game designers know that.
Never
So,
played Mario
What
Maker.
if you had toys that you could scan into a video game and instantly be able to
Are
play
there really
as
toys
that
in them?
toy?
Great. Ready to die.
The developer Toys for
Really?
Bob had
Me
this
too.
exact idea,
Ah.
and they applied it to a
Toys for
reboot
Bob.
of
I've
Spyro
learned about
the
them from
Dragon.
Kadikarus.
Fans are outraged because
I'm
Spyro
planning to
doesn't
Crash
need a
Bandicoot. I
reboot.
might
He already
finish
had
Crash
one 2
Bandicoot
reboots
this
ago.
coming up
See,
weekend,
Spyro's
this
a pretty
Saturday.
iconic character in the whole pantheon of gaming, but after the initial 3 games on the original PlayStation,
Never played it.
we have nothing to lose. And thus, Spyro's Kingdom entered development until later being titled Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. Wow, that's a slap in the face. Not only is Spyro relegated to the subtitle, he's not
Yeah.
even the main guy on the box.
He's
It
up
was
to
a
the
smart
side.
business decision, though. You can't deny that. It was pretty much a brand new franchise, but with Spyro as a selling point for those in the know. It also allowed Skylanders to be its own thing, rather than acting like this was the next main Spyro the Dragon game. Say what you want, but I think they did this in the most respectful way possible.
You know, I gotta hand it to you. That was a really nice way to spit on that corpse.
Skylanders Spyro's Adventure released on October 16th, 2011
still
for
sealed?
Wii, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Nintendo 3DS, PC, and Mac, with a Wii U
Wow.
version releasing on July 12th,
Oh, but who bought
2013,
that?
only in Japan, published by Square Enix.
What?
I'm sorry.
So, how does this work? Well, first you spend $70,
What?
then wait for that return on investment. In the box, you get the game,
Never.
3 figures, some cards, and the Portal of Power. I've got a lot going for
Wow,
me, don't I? The
that
portal
was
requires
expensive.
batteries. We plug the receiver into the system, and there we
batteries.
go. I think we're up to this being at least worth $4. So let's pop a Skylanders figure on the portal. You can tell it's a Skylander by its disfigurement. Pick anyone you want, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that you gave Activision money. That's all pretty instantaneous, and the effects in game do give the illusion that placing the figure on the portal ignites some sense of magic, even
it's
when I
kinda
already understand how the tech
cool,
works.
but-
Each figure has a near-field communications chip in the base, or NFC,
NFC.
which allows the
I have
portal
shoes
to know
with NFCs on
exactly
them.
what's on it. Of course, the fun of the gimmick comes from having an endless amount of figures to try this out with. Being restricted to just the 3 that comes in the starter pack, it's like, wow, I can get past the menu. There is nothing you can do unless you put a character on the portal, and once you have 40
Wait, really?
of them, you truly start to like it. So I'm going to
40?
offer you Skylanders figures to purchase separately for only $7.89 per character.
That's not
and to have access to all
bad.
that Skylanders has to offer, you can
Crazy
have it all for the
markup.
price of $225.
What?
Okay, well, maybe there's something to this game. Maybe each character unlocks loads of content.
Nope.
This is worth
Just the skin.
$225.
Skylanders is a game where you move forward and beat up enemies.
I'll let you sharpen my pencils for $50 less.
Skylanders is about the portal master. Me! I control all 30-something Skylanders and can swap them on a whim. They're frozen in our world as toys, but through the game we can see them in their world, fighting against the evil chaos.
Basically,
it's a cute way to contextualize the Toys to Life mechanic,
Story.
I'll give them that. But at the end of the day, Skylanders Spyro's Adventure is a simple beat-em-up for children. Take that back, all the children say. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, loads of kids' games are structured exactly like this, and many of them popped up around this time. There was Disney Universe and Ratchet & Clank All for One. These are beat-em-ups with very simple level designs and controls that can be played via cooperative multiplayer. They're perfect for kids who have thumbs and very little else. I mean, I find these types of games to be a little too simple and slow-paced for my liking, so you're gonna need a gimmick to make it work, and Toys for Bob found it, being wasteful.
You know, I'll be honest, I have been slacking off with wasting money lately.
Also, is this in his?
I need mentors to teach
Yeah,
me
this
how
is
to
in the
be
basement.
wasteful and
Yeah.
appreciate a game that wastes so much
we're now
plastic and
there.
money.
I was once a chaperone for school dances, but then I realized I was contributing to society.
Hi, my name's Jeb Jab, and this right here is a piece of shit.
Don't you want to be like me, doing absolutely nothing in life, so there's more or less pressure to perform?
Rex Mo's here and I do. We're the Waste Chasers. You're helping us by helping you be more wasteful. From this job, about 30 acres of farmland.
What are you gonna do with it?
Nothing.
We'll waste anything. Your time, energy, people. But according to our lawyers, we can't advertise murder on TV, so I'm obligated to say that we're kidding.
Call us now to schedule
For
your
legal
appointment
reasons, that's a
permit
joke.
By wasting money.
This is the waste.
Take your entire stock.
Do we need gas? No.
I need gas.
Let's get some.
Do you work for the Waste Chasers?
I
Yes.
prefer the term we work for the Waste Chasers.
How well can you guys waste?
Sign this.
Why?
No reason.
You're hired.
Okay, got it.
Alright, yeah.
That is a nice
See your
basement.
problem? This wall's being utilized.
I was actually wondering if you could teach me how to waste with this.
Oh, that's what our entire
Did he actually just hit the wall with a
Waste
base?
Chasing was founded by our great boss, Dex, who believed our great nation wasn't wasting enough time, potential, money, air.
It turns out Skylanders were the perfect alibi.
Hey, boss, can we have some Skylanders?
Yes, please.
What is your boss, 15?
Yes.
14, you ass!
Aren't there child labor laws?
Legally speaking, it's better the child employs me than me employ the child.
That's actually correct, I think?
Well, what do you think?
It's perfect.
Is it now? Are any of them like limited edition or special or like numbered or anything?
Let's order another set to be safe.
This is how you can get any mileage out of Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, by investing in these dinky-ass little things. You can
So
beat
really,
the main
it was
game here
just
with just
hoping
the included figures in the
kids
starter
could
pack.
convince their parents.
This is a game
for
designed around
$8.
having 30-plus playable characters. Only 3 is, by definition, not fun. Hey, in 2011, these were all only around $8 a pop, so not a horrible deal or anything.
Yeah.
But these toys are pretty
It adds
small, all
up.
things considered, and it's kind of hard for me to really want a ton of them when I have absolutely no attachment to these creatures. Other than Spyro, these are all basically original
I mean,
creations.
I still have
and
my
some of these guys
Bakugan.
just look gross to me. Not
I
in
don't know how
terms of
much
being badly
Bakugans
designed,
were.
and more so, I wouldn't want to be eating while looking at them. They all look like they belong on a pack of Mucinex. And I don't get some of these
Yeah.
names. They're not even names. One of them's named Lightning Rod. His parents were dicks.
That's a
And you have
Pokemon.
Whamshell, Trigger Happy, Stump Smash.
Legendary.
What the hell kind of a name is Slam Bam?
My f***ing name's Jeb Jab.
The characters and names are pretty take it or leave it for me personally, and while you can totally just pick and choose your favorites and roll through the game, Skylanders works best when you have basically every character at your disposal. You get up to certain parts where you need a specific Skylander of a specific type. None other can unlock
I'll be
the
right
gate.
back.
Oh, well, that's a smart business move and a little bit
Okay,
of a, well, I don't know,
I'm back, by the way.
discrimination. Then when you
That's
die, you
weird.
can't use that Skylander for a period of time. They have to tap out while you use another figure, and you can't use them for a while.
can't
as they rest
progress
up.
without using
So
certain ones?
theoretically, you can beat the game with a starter pack, but if you die with all 3 of your figures, you just can't do anything until your toys come back to life, which doesn't happen until either A, you finish the level you're on, but of course if you used up all your toys, then B, wait like 5 hours for the things to recharge. If it were 30 minutes, I think that would still be egregious.
is there-
Doesn't matter that much though, because the game is piss easy. I wish I didn't have to use that adjective, but hey, just shows they gotta make urination harder. That's just more incentive to buy more figures to have more and more chances to get through the stages.
This
They're not
is
forcing you
such
to
a
do it,
blatant
but of course,
cash
that's how
grab.
an adult sees it. I'm sure kids thought they needed Ghost Roaster, their life depended on it. We all
Really?
see the gameplay like this. The kids see it like this. It may have overly simple gameplay that's
That's good.
aggressively monetized in a far sneakier way than something like DLC or microtransactions, but
Yeah,
Toys
it's
for Bob
tangible.
definitely made each purchase feel magical, like the son of God.
Can we crucify a purchase?
The act of putting a Skylander on the portal
No.
does feel kind of cool. It lights up in a certain way with the TV displaying animations that, in tandem, create a pretty neat effect. And after a Skylander dies, rummaging through your collection trying to pick the next one you play as, it has
Next
a certain
sacrifice.
charm to it. Sure, it's a far bigger chore than just
It's
the
like
selection
Pokemon.
screen, which
Yeah.
is entirely what this replaces, but it's kind of fun. You
Did
can play
they
the
not make a
entire
Pokemon
with a
game
second
with
player
this?
or battle them in a versus
You
mode.
know,
Truly the best crotch measuring tool. The game was
You
originally
know,
developed for the
like
Wii
Bakugan
with
with
the
a
Xbox
Pokeball, you
360
put the
and
Pokemon in
PlayStation 3
it,
versions
rolls,
being
opens,
ports,
boom.
which makes this feel great as a Wii game and really sad as anything else. There's something about HD ports of Wii games to the Xbox 360 that just feel like naked mole rats. That 360 version is the only one that uses a wired portal, I assume for some technical reason. The
Wait,
Japanese
oh, they
only
don't
Wii
take
U
batteries.
version is pretty rare, probably going to be one of the harder to find games down the line.
Why would you find
the
it?
3DS version is completely different. It's a bit more fast-paced and actiony, probably a better game overall, though it's harder to appreciate the figures. Being more focused on portable play, you save a few Skylanders to your system, then can take it on the go, which entirely defeats the purpose of the figures, which had no purpose to begin with. I just find it interesting the game came out on 3DS. They had to create a specific, slightly smaller portal of power just for it, which why go out of your
the-
way to do that for a new IP? Skylanders was a critical and commercial
They made a lot of money.
success. So were carrots. You don't see dole bragging. I find it odd just how
Can't realize I
well
had a carrot.
Spyro's Adventure did in reviews. Lots of 8 out of 10s, which just seems really high for a game so hell-bent on ripping you off. I don't care if you're
I
the
guess
biggest
'cause it's
Skylanders fan on the planet.
Good.
That sounds like a military threat.
How do you justify the starter pack costing $70? I think because I'm numb to the technology now, I just truly don't see how this is worth that kind of investment.
What year was
Though
this?
People were saying the same thing 10 years ago, but the portal glowed! But all this praise meant this was a franchise worth supporting.
So do light
They
bulbs.
just kept releasing new content for this game. They actually released a few figure packs containing new levels to play in, which is kind of cool.
Okay,
Though
that
they
is
decided
cool.
to follow up this game with a sequel just 1 year later, Skylanders Giants.
You guys need some more Skylanders over there?
As much as I need carbon monoxide.
Good lord.
So he took that as a yes?
Giants, wow, this is no longer Spyro's Adventure. He's not compared to the new guys. Move over, Spyro, make room for Thumpback. This game is pretty much the same shtick. Starter pack, game, portal,
Wow,
figures. The
same
portal
thing.
across all the home consoles is now completely wired, which isn't the worst idea considering a wireless portal was just another set of batteries to worry about.
Yep.
The main difference between Giants and Spyro's Adventure
Are they
is
bigger?
the introduction of the new, bigger characters whose figures are significantly larger.
Wow.
Besides that, I was hoping the regular Skylanders would
How
be.
much are
They
they?
even light up when they're on the portal, which is a nice touch.
Okay, that's why they're
Characters
bigger.
themselves?
They are going to be $12, $13 maybe?
No! There's some regular sized new
Maybe they'll be
Skylanders
$10.
figures that just work with Giants, but I think the most important thing here is that all figures for Spyro's Adventure work in Giants. That is pretty cool. It significantly
compatibility.
increases the appeal of the game to me. Like I said, it is pretty fun to pick and choose a Skylander to use, and when you have that much more to choose from and you don't have to worry about
something that
compatibility,
lights.
it just makes the concept work that much more. Now, the game itself?
Do you give a
No! To somebody out of the know on what makes a Skylanders game unique from the last, this was a pretty weak sequel. The toys are bigger, and so is my appetite for a better game. It's fine.
But how much were
Giants
they?
feels more like an upgraded replacement for Spyro's Adventure rather than a full-on sequel.
Are they
For a
really
series
the
that
same
was born
price?
from a gimmick that really carried the first game in reviews, to see Giants not do something just as magical feeling, it just doesn't satisfy me.
You are a bitch to pleasure.
Again, the game is fine. It's more of the same, but I feel like the Giants aren't anything more than just bigger. Like, how is this
Yeah.
impressive?
The lights.
Oh, Giants on 3DS retains the wireless portal, so thankfully that lives on in the form of a Toys to Life game on a portable system.
Cool.
Please think about that. These were strange times. Play this on a bus. I don't think Skylanders Giants is bad. I think it's Skylanders Giants. It's probably a better game,
Also,
but Spyro's Adventure still
did
takes
you always
the
have
cake
to
in
have the
terms of
portal?
being the first to bring this genre to mainstream attention. Giants just feels like an add-on to the first game turned into a sequel. A sequel to such an innovative game in 2011 was basically the same game with bigger toys.
Well, if you want to get into wasting, you can't get much more wasteful than that.
What if there was one more bigger toy?
Wait, bigger?
How you guys wasted over there?
So much.
That's not enough.
More? You want more?
Well, the first Skylanders for the next generation of consoles. The
How many
PS4 and
Skylanders
Xbox
did they
One.
make?
No, it's still released for everything Skylanders Giants came out on. Skylanders Swap Force released in 2013 and was actually
They
not
made that
developed
much
by
money.
Toys for Bob. This time it was developed by Vicarious Visions just to get these games out on a yearly basis. Who better to
Oh.
trust with Skylanders than video game developers. This is something Activision does with their yearly franchises like Call of
Yeah,
Duty.
they
You
swap
need to keep
them.
them coming out every year, but to give each game 2 years in development, you split it across 2 teams. So while Toys for Bob works on the
Infinity
next
Ward
game, here's
forever.
Swap Force. Firstly,
Did not like
my
the Treyarch games.
God, they upgraded the
I grew up
visuals.
playing Call of Duty.
It was painfully obvious Giants was built off of the first game. So to go from this to this is monumental. Even on the last gen systems, it's a phenomenal looking kids game, incredibly detailed with great
Does it
lighting,
need to look
popping
phenomenal for
colors.
kids?
It's great to see that because the series did so well, they actually invested more into the productions themselves to make them better and better. The main
Which is
gimmick of
something
this
you don't
game
really
is
hear
the
about
new
often.
Swap Force figures. You can take them apart and swap their bodies
You
amongst
killed 'em.
each other, connecting with little magnets. And then when
Oh.
you put the figure on the base, they'll appear in the game with the swapped bodies.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
this
you
is
can, like,
still insanely
mix and match.
Cool.
That's
the sheer
so
creativity
cool.
behind this concept just adds to my enjoyment on top of the fact that it just flat out works. This is the coolest, most genuinely creative gimmick they've done yet. The figures themselves are cool to mess around with, let alone the fact that you
That
can
had to
pop
be
them on the
tough
portal
with
and
the
see them
color
like
schemes.
this in-game. Plus, all previous Skylanders are compatible, including the Giants. The game feels better to control
they
now,
giant
which
in
is
the game
probably
as well?
definitely because of the addition of a jump button. Yeah, the first two, you couldn't jump, which I think added to just how slow and simple they felt. I mean, they were all designed around not jumping, but it just feels restrictive. Like, I want to
Yeah.
jump, but I feel
Like,
like
I
the
want
game
sprint
doesn't trust
in
me.
campaign of
Come
a
on,
video
why
game.
not have a jump button? This just feels like a waste of the controller. You have all these buttons at your disposal, but now it's being more utilized and doesn't feel like a waste.
Oh, it's not being wasteful.
Swap Force was a huge upgrade. It's not incredible by any means
That's
gameplay-wise.
really-
It's
I wonder
still
if that
Skylanders,
person
where you
came up with that
fundamentally
had a
just move
raise.
forward and beat up enemies. You need certain Skylanders of certain types to enter certain locations. You talk to this weasel to save this weasel. But this game really impressed me on multiple levels. The presentation, creativity, a jump button. This game has it all. I'm not head over heels in love with this series. I have problems with it, and the gameplay doesn't grab me. But I understand why this captured the hearts of millions. And
Yeah.
with Swap Force, this is a game I can totally get
I mean, it was
behind. However,
new.
2013
Kind of
was
revolutionary.
a pretty massive year. Many companies
Yeah,
noticed
this
the
was a long
success
time
of
ago.
Toys to Life, and Skylanders was no longer the only franchise in town.
Disney.
He has ears, you know.
Disney Infinity, the first major competitor to Skylanders, alongside Pokemon
Okay.
Rumble U releasing that same year. Wow, a Pokemon Toys to Life game on Wii U?
Does it use
digital
Pokeballs?
only? Tiny figures only available at GameStop? The game is bad? Some may
Oh.
toss the term missed opportunity around. I prefer the term Pokemon Rumble U. This is Nintendo we're talking about, okay? If they have the
Jirachi.
opportunity to monetize Pokemon to take advantage of children, well, first they shoot you in the face, and then they do that. But when you hear Pokemon Toys to Life, you just kind of expect that to make money. Problem was, Nintendo forgot to flip the switch. This game stunk. It was just
Oh.
a mindless button masher, and that's saying something because I just played 3 Skylanders games. But this
Well,
one has
Scott's
no
not even like a Pokemon
actual
fan either.
level design. They're just arenas. The toy functionality was completely superfluous. I think Nintendo just did
It
this
didn't
to
glow.
test the waters. If they truly wanted to go all in, they would have incorporated Toys to Life figures with an actual Pokemon game, not where dreams come to die. I should become a lawyer. So Pokemon Rumble U is the third entry in the series, and much like Skylanders, this was all about moving forward through levels and beating up all the enemies. The
Kids
difference
games.
was, Skylanders is better. I don't fucking know. This is just too simple. I know Skylanders can feel like a button masher, but Pokemon Rumble is a button masher. And instead of fleshing out the combat
And it doesn't
a little more,
necessarily
giving us better
look
level designs, Rumble U keeps the
amazing.
combat the exact same and removes all the level designs. It's $18 goddamn dollars. Well, the figures aren't needed, but could have been bought at
Oh, they did
GameStop
sell 'em
these
in
blind
little
bags.
Poke
You scam in and
balls.
can play as them. Upgrade their moves with coins you earn. You can save a certain amount of coins and in-game data, then bring your figure over to a friend's house to play on their Pokemon Rumble
That's kind
U.
of cool.
Joke's on them because they don't exist. They weren't great toys either. They were cool in the sense that the Pokemon Rumble series already represented the Pokemon as little low polygonal
Celebi.
toys, but in real life, outside of the novelty, what kid is gonna want to play with this? They get more enjoyment out of spray painting a Dixie cup yellow. Hey guys, it's Pikachu. I mean, I guess the designs can be kind of cool sometimes, and for $4 a figure,
Oh, that one's pretty good.
I guess it could be worse. But only being
yeah,
available via
$4.
blind
I like
bag
how he has the
exclusively at
stand, the
GameStop.
entire thing.
Activision's pissing their pants. I will say it was cool to finally have a game utilize the NFC technology on Wii U. That was built into the gamepad, so Actually, I gotta ask, why didn't Skylanders take advantage of that? The way you had it built in, it would have been a cool extra
But it didn't
feature
glow.
where you just scan your Skylanders in any way you wanted.
God, stop complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm just angry.
Wait, so
Pokemon
how did
Rumble
they
U
power
stinks.
the
I would
glow?
be more careful about saying that due to how ruthless the Rumble U
In
community is,
the
but they're just like
Skylanders.
the Shakers. There's not many of them left. Other companies
Was there
were attempting
any
the
power
Toys to Life
transfer from the
formula
base
around
to
this
it?
time as well. Notably, Ubisoft was thinking
Maybe
about
that's why I thought
incorporating
you
a
plugged
feature
in.
Rayman Legends on Wii U, allowing you to scan in random things like hearts, rabbits,
Like,
Ezio
wireless
from
charging
Assassin's
on a
Creed,
phone.
though the feature was cut. This concept requires a lot of investment and commitment. Without that, you get Pokemon Rumble U. So obviously, if you're a big company with loads of disposable income and a wealth of iconic characters, Toys to Life made sense to try out, hence why I'm gonna bitch. Disney Infinity was announced in January of 2013, and everybody was kind of like, yeah, this makes total sense. You take a concept like Skylanders and you apply it to shit that isn't whatever the fuck, and it's poised to print money. And all these iconic characters in the same game
all
interacting
IP,
with each other, it's like a dream come true. When the game released on August 18th, 2013, I'm sure everybody thought, damn, the boys together at last?
The boys?
Okay, so Disney Infinity
I don't know
isn't
about
exactly
Lightning
what I think
McQueen
many
and-
wanted from a Disney Toys to
I
Life
don't know who the other
experience.
one was.
Instead, they tried to do something more unique.
like Johnny
a
Depp.
tapeworm is pretty similar to a pinworm, but the tapeworm went off to do its own thing. They're both still parasites. Disney Infinity was developed by Avalanche Software, who already created the Toy Story 3 video game. This was one of the most high-quality movie games of that generation. The story mode truly felt like the film came to life with the quality visuals and sound, but more notably, the game included a side mode entitled The Toy Box. This was a large open
it's like
area
sandbox
with
mode?
different
Yeah.
missions to tackle, which then let you customize more and more of the world. It was a really cool addition that they didn't need to do, but showed how much they cared about creating a robust video game based on Toy
did
Story.
Kid Icarus talk
This
about
was
this
probably
one?
the most
Or was that a
iconic
different
feature of Toy
Toy
Story
Story
3, the
game we
video
talked
game,
about?
as this was what most would talk about. So having that developer create a spiritual successor to Toy Story 3 in the form of a Disney Toys to Life game, it just made sense. The problem is, that led Disney Infinity to feel more like a new
I never
Toy
actually
Story
saw
3
Monsters,
game
Inc.
with everything like behind
U?
a paywall. Disney Infinity
Monsters
follows a
U?
bunch of
I
Disney
only saw
toys
the
doing
original.
as Disney toys do. Be purchasable. That's the explanation behind the crossover. They're all toys, which is also why the characters are designed this way. A little blocky and simplified. It works though, and helps tie all the characters together under a unifying art style. The starter pack comes with
sense.
Sully from Monsters University, Mr. Incredible from The Incredibles, and Jack Sparrow from
What a
Pirates of the
group.
Caribbean. Wow,
blunt
what a
rotation.
diverse lineup. Two
Yeah.
Pixar characters and Johnny Depp. Disney Infinity was already a little disappointing to actual Disney fans. There wasn't a lot of classic Disney characters at
Who's
play here.
the
Out of the
purple
29
car?
characters released, over
They're not
half
Sally.
were Pixar characters, which, hey, are big parts of Disney's brand, but it's not called Pixar Infinity. That would be like if half the Smash Brothers roster was from Fire Emblem. That's a joke. But even then, the other half of the characters, a lot are from Pirates of the Caribbean and from the most recent Disney properties at the time.
Jack
Tangled,
Sparrow's not
Frozen,
the
Phineas
main
and
character
Ferb.
of
They all
Pirates of the
deserve to
Caribbean,
be
by the
here.
way.
I just think it's lacking
Sparrow's a
more
little small.
classic Disney stuff, like The Lion King, Aladdin, even just regular-ass Mickey Mouse. We have Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey, but fucking Goofy has to wait because we just had to get the Lone Ranger in here. Who the hell remembers the Lone Ranger 2013 movie? Wrong answer. I think this was an issue right off the bat.
Was that actually Johnny
Disney
Depp?
Infinity didn't feel like a celebration of Disney. Rather, it felt more like a promotional vehicle. Like, there's a reason the Monsters Inc.
that's
characters
usually what
aren't
Disney
from
does.
Monsters Inc. They're from Monsters University. The 2013 film released 2 months before Disney Infinity. You're telling me I get a Holly Shiftwell figure from Cars 2 while fucking Goofy's on the sidelines? So the character selection is a little
You're not
weak and a little
Sally.
too
What happened to
marketing-centric,
Sally?
in my opinion. A Disney Toys to Life game was obviously going to have some characters involved just because they were in recent movies. I just wish it was a little more balanced. But that's not all, as the starter pack also contains...
I really wonder how that was
this.
decided.
What does it do? Cleans a toilet, but very poorly. This is the story mode for Disney Infinity, dub playsets. They have this transparent look to them all, and they fit on this portion of the Disney Infinity base. You get 3 playsets in one with the starter pack, each based on one of the included characters, the Pirates, Incredibles, and Monsters U story mode. Each of these are completely separate experiences, meaning they have no effect on each other. They're separate stories based on separate movies, and because of that, you cannot use characters that weren't originally from said movie in that movie's playset. You can't use Sully in the Pirates playset or Mr. Incredible in the Goofy one because fucking Goofy isn't in the game. It's just the characters from the original movies in that movie's playset.
Oh my god, finally! Woody and Buzz at the same time?
It'd be cool if there was like a
Ripley's Believe
bonus
It or
for
Not
using
and
them
tell
in
them
their
I
one.
don't.
This
Like if
just
they
kinda
had a
defeats
buff
the
if you use them
purpose
in
of
the
being
real
a
world. Yeah,
crossover,
exactly.
Being titled
It defeats
Disney
the purpose.
Infinity. It's even lamer considering these Toys to Life games were pretty popular as co-op experiences. Something a parent could play with their kid. And out of the box,
But I
even
guess
though
it
you got
forces
3
them to buy
figures,
more
because of this
figures.
limitation, you couldn't play multiplayer in any of the playsets. You had to go out and buy another Monsters character, another Incredibles one, another Pirates one.
And they sold them as
the
sets
playsets
like that.
themselves are fine. They're perfectly reasonable 5-hour adventures in their respective universes. It's like an Incredibles game within the game, and while they all still use the same engine, each playset plays pretty differently, going for different styles of gameplay, though they all still feel like Disney Infinity.
Why are you carrying that
but
person?
5 hours per adventure is pretty beefy, especially considering you get 3 of them right out of the box. The problem is, they can get a bit repetitive and tedious, and they don't have the same level of polish a game like Skylanders Swap Force had. Visually, again, it was fine, but
it
nothing
has
crazy
Disney
to write home
characters.
about. The gameplay as well.
Disney fanatics
was
or something
fine.
else.
It was mostly just complete the mission for this character, beating up enemies, collecting currency. It was a very standard but fairly quality
You
kids
mean
game.
like,
My
was it Jump
problem
Force?
is, this is what Toy Story 3 was, and I didn't need to buy all this shit. Instead of being this epic crossover, Disney Infinity more so felt like an excuse for Disney to make shorter, shittier movie tie-in games and just put them into Disney Infinity.
And then
It's
sell
way
the
cheaper. You
figurines.
can just use all
The
those
crazy
assets in
margins.
that game engine and everything. Instead of a Lone Ranger or Monsters University game, just make a playset for Disney Infinity. And you know what? I don't think it's much of a coincidence that the amount of Disney tie-in movie games went considerably down after Infinity's release. This was more of a platform for Disney games and content, not a Disney game in of itself. I wish there was just one big campaign where all the Disney characters were playable and interacting and everything.
that would be awesome.
I feel like with trailers and even the box art showing everybody all together,
You would assume you
it
could
kind of leads
play
to
together.
disappointment when it turns out these characters all being together in one game. It's kind of pointless.
Yep.
Like, imagine if Smash Brothers was exactly the way it is, but you could only play as Mario characters on the Mario stages,
yeah.
or Zelda characters on the Zelda ones. Like, yeah,
Never played
it's
Zelda. I
still a
plan on playing
crossover
it and
technically,
streaming at
but
some
you're
point.
not taking advantage of it. Though I shouldn't.
You
speak
can only
too
use
soon,
Dr.
because
Mario
Disney Infinity
on
features
Dr.
the
Mario
toy
levels.
box. So unlike Toy Story 3, this one is far more focused on being basically a game engine. Create your own world or edit a pre-built one. You can basically create your own small games in this mode. It's very impressive, and you can use any character you want here. Toy Box is definitely what you'd want to buy Disney Infinity for. You can just run around with a friend and attack each other, place items and vehicles down. It really does feel like you're a kid playing in a toy box. You could even buy power discs, which were
What is
blind bags
those?
filled with little bonuses you could place on the base for use in the toy box. This is just getting a bit greedy at this point. There's some cool stuff here. I love the fact you can stack a few power discs on top of each other. You're not
Okay,
limited
that's
to
cool.
just one. But like, come on. This game costs $75 at launch, and you're keeping a truck away from me? That's fucked up. And because they're in blind bags, you're gonna be stuck with extras, which is just
Real life loot
irritating.
boxes.
This game is
Oh,
already
no.
ass expensive. Expensive as ass. You're already clogging everybody's living room with these figures, so now you're gonna do blind bags of objects that have no reason to be sold separately? My daughter choked to death on power discs, and to make it worse, they were doubles. Who the hell wanted the circular ones? These just gave your character stat boosts, and it's like, great, because I didn't feel
pay to win.
self-conscious enough. The angular ones are way cooler. They can affect your toy box's background and terrain and give you really fun and cool objects, vehicles, and weapons to play with. Numerous character figures released were only playable via the toy box. The characters with no playset in the game, which these felt like kind of a waste.
Yeah,
These
wait,
guys are
they
in
did.
the game, but you can
Maybe it was
basically only
like
play
if
them in
they
the
sell
level
well,
editor.
we'll make a play place for them.
It just reaffirms my opinion that they should have had one big campaign that all the characters were a part of. I commend the effort of creating multiple campaigns for certain franchises, but it makes the whole experience feel disjointed. They already made a game called Disney Universe, where you play as generic characters solving light puzzles and beating up enemies all in different Disney
but
worlds,
with different,
which feels
with
way more to
actual
me what Disney
characters.
Infinity should have been.
What?
Which is just Skylanders. I don't know, man. I just feel like, unlike Skylanders, this game felt much more like the figures were just unlocking content in the game rather than, oh, we're bringing the character into the game world. Just look at how long it takes for the character to load when you put it on the base.
To build anticipation, or what was it be? Surprise mechanics? What EA called FIFA Pass?
Magic. Disney
Is that
Infinity
actually
is
Elsa's voice
fine.
actor?
I just think the concept of a Toys to Life game with Disney characters spanning so many of their IPs had so much potential. And while what we got was an alright game, I can't help but think something more in line with how Skylanders
the
operated
Piston
would take
Cup's
advantage
cool.
of the crossover in figures so much more. However, much like Skylanders, Disney Infinity released on everything it possibly could have. Wii U, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, even iOS and PC. A few months too early for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, though it did get a 3DS version, subtitled Toy Box Challenge. I didn't sign up for this. It's
it's Mario Party
game.
Oh
Big
no.
game space, only one character in geometrically confused plastic. The playsets give you game boards now, so it's literally a Mario Party game. You roll the dice, play a minigame. I assume this version entered development way late in the game, too late to create an actual adventure or a version of the console's toy box, so they cobbled together a party game, which frankly has no right being on a portable. This is just miserable. This was just a way to get another game called Disney Infinity on the 3DS in a short period of time. Outside of that, this game has no business existing.
Well, what more could you possibly ask for? A duck? That one hit the
A duck? I'm a duck. Okay, there's more? Of course there's more. It's like an hour-long video.
Here.
1 year
Oh, it's
later,
actually
in
a duck.
2014, Disney Infinity 2.0.
Okay, really? Infinity 2.0?
They had a chance to fix any
Really?
old problems I and many others initially had with Disney Infinity. Spider-Man? Instead of fleshing out the Disney portion of Disney Infinity,
Okay, yeah, I guess
2.0
Disney
opted to go in
Spider-Man. I
an
remember
entirely new
when it was
direction,
Sony.
focusing on Marvel superheroes. I can't blame them. It was inevitable and does make the crossover that much more cool and exciting.
And that was when...
The damn characters worked in the playsets.
Never seen Aladdin.
2.0, I would have assumed this was just Disney Infinity.
I think I know
1
Tinkerbell.
plus more, which isn't really the case.
And there's a
I mean,
duck,
the toy
and that's
box,
Aladdin, I
yeah,
think.
that's basically an expanded version of the first games. But none of the Disney Infinity 1 playsets work on 2.0. Which this is so lame. Calling this 2.0 made me
Skylanders,
think, oh,
that'd
this
been
is like
fine
a
if they did it first, but
replacement for the
Skylanders
first game. But
already
no,
did that.
It's just, that's what they called it. All the 1.0
Backwards
characters
compatible.
and power discs work in the toy box, but other than that, 2.0 is, in my opinion, a massive downgrade gameplay-wise. Instead of getting 3 playsets out of the box, you only get 1, which is far lamer and shorter than just one of the 3 playsets included previously. In fact, there's only 3 playsets in general for 2.0.
What?
All of them Marvel-based, no Disney-related ones, which I feel like is a huge slap in the face to the initial supporters of the series. Yes, I think it's cool Marvel stuff is here, but that's all Disney Infinity 2.0 is, and frankly, I feel like it would have been more fitting to start a spin-off series just called Marvel Infinity.
Yeah.
There were a few Disney characters released.
Yeah,
only
Marvel Infinity would've
11,
been way
with
better.
2 being from Big Hero 6, which was a
I've actually
Marvel
seen that movie.
thing, though they labeled it as a Disney original because of the Disney animated film. And we did get some more legacy
Seen it.
characters like Tinkerbell, Stitch, Maleficent, Aladdin, and Jasmine, a duck, a dirty fucking duck, a stinky
dirty.
duck.
I'm
And
not
there was
stinky.
a Disney Originals version of the starter pack, one without Marvel characters if this was all you cared about. This came with some toy box games, kind of a consolation prize if you wanted something non-Marvel to play with. These are some games created in the toy box mode based on Brave and Lilo and Stitch. It's kind of cool considering these were made within the level editor, but it just feels like they didn't have enough development time between games. I mean, only 3 playsets and none of them Disney related. This feels like they scrambled to put together something Disney related to play. On top of that,
Yeah,
this game
or
just
was there
doesn't
deadlines
run
that
well.
didn't get
Now,
met?
I'm on the Wii U version, so f me, right? But the controls just
But
feel laggy.
Scott and
Frames
his
drop
Wii U.
consistently. I don't know, man. This is a weak sequel. And they made some improvements here and there, like you can get crossover coins in the Marvel
How do you have 2
playsets,
Infinities,
which
by the
allows
way?
you to play as certain Marvel characters in Marvel playsets that weren't meant for them.
Oh, cool.
That's stupid. I kind of get you want to keep the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Guardians of the Galaxy playsets so all the cutscenes include just the characters you'd expect to be there, or just the fact you'd want to keep the universes pure. But for the love of God, the premise of these games is that they're a bunch of
it's
toys.
crossover
I can
as
at least
well.
kind of understand not having Donald Duck playable in the Avengers playset, not
It's
being
like
able to
they
play
can
as
only-
Spider-Man in the
like,
Avengers
you can't
playset,
have them on the
or
same
only
shelf.
being able to play as Iron Man in the Spider-Man playset after collecting the crossover coins. This is stupid. I'm sorry. The storyline here is that these are a bunch of toys. So why does it matter about keeping the universes pure? I just feel like the design of this game at
They don't
its
have to be
core
separated
kind of
in your
annoys
collection.
me. Again, it's like 3 separate small shitty games available as a part of one, but you still have to buy the games in the form of toys. And this all makes sense when you consider that the playsets were all developed by different studios. That was to keep the quality and quantity of content up. But they could have just made a
Consistent?
fun game overall with 1 main campaign and a toy box mode rather than 3 separate campaigns that confuse the hell out of me in terms of what figures work where. Oh, I'm gonna use Black Widow in the Spider-Man playset.
No,
You
you're
can't
not.
say I didn't try.
Yeah.
Maybe the original characters work in the toy box, but nowhere else. It would have been great if the 1.0 playsets were here so you could just flat out replace your old Disney Infinity 1 game, but no.
Nope.
This doesn't feel like Disney Infinity. Honestly, this game has more limitations than you think. The Wii and 3DS missed out on this game, but Xbox One and PlayStation 4 got
when
a
it's
taste
on
of the action
Xbox
plus a
One.
PlayStation Vita release in spring of 2015. This is just funny.
Yeah, so that was
What?
a huge waste of time.
Oh, there we go. Woo, wasting.
Competing with 2.0 was the fourth Skylanders game, Trap Team, developed by Toys for Bob again.
And it's
the
even
main
better,
gimmick
right?
this time around was being able to trap and control certain enemies with these things. You pop it
Just
into the portal to
constantly new
nab the
gimmicks.
enemy with a really cool effect.
Does it glow?
There's now a speaker on here, so it really feels like the trap transports
It
the character
speaks?
from the TV to the portal, the complete opposite of the feeling using the Skylanders invokes. This is another solid entry in the franchise, a fan favorite, if you will. I think it does a good
okay.
job expanding upon
I
the
don't know what
quality
that
that
is.
Swap Force instated. I mean, these animations look out of this world. It's obvious so much talent and money is being poured into this series now. Regardless of your stance on the Skylanders, you have to commend just how amazing this looks for a kids game, let alone a kids game in 2014. Outside of that,
Yeah.
it's very much just another Skylanders
Kids
to me
game in
personally.
2014.
I think
was
the traps are cute, though not as rad as Swap Force's
applying
gimmick.
for colleges
I have
in
somewhat similar
2014.
yet less critical feelings about the traps to the power discs from Infinity. Like, the Toys to Life concept can be sort of cool until you start having to buy things that just like, what do you expect me to do with this outside of the game? The figures, you can
Yes.
display those, play with them, but like, what do you expect me to do with this in the real world?
Did they make a holder or a stand for them?
But hey, it's another quality Skylanders release. Same consoles as before, plus a mobile version this time around.
Whoa,
it
with
comes
its
with a
own
unique
controller?
portal and its own controller. It's pretty impressive because unlike something
They made
like
a
Disney
controller.
Infinity on
Is it good?
3DS, this was Skylanders Trap Team in its entirety. I can't play it anymore. It is a 7-year-old mobile game after all, but rest assured, I wouldn't if I could. But there's probably a good reason as to why they were able to port this game to mobile. Because they were still making a Wii version. Oh my
That's
God.
so rough.
The Wii version, strangely enough, comes with a download code for the Wii U version. So honestly, the best move would have been to buy the Wii starter
guess
pack.
the
That way you would have
upgrade-
gotten 2 versions for the same price as one. I think this was done because Nintendo leaned heavily into accepting the fact that the only third-party support the Wii U was getting during this time was from these Toys to Life games. They advertised the hell out of these types of games
They
on
tried
Wii
to
U,
make the Wii U.
which led them to trying this out on their own. Nintendo's Amiibo worked quite
Yep.
a bit different from the other Toys to Life lines out at the time.
Duck Hunt.
Basically, they could make Amiibo for literally any game, any series, anything. In fact, anything that could be right behind you.
Can you imagine?
Coinciding with the release of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U
I've
on
only
November
played Smash
21st,
Bros. Melee
2014,
one
Amiibo
weekend,
weren't
like,
necessarily a
14 years ago.
competitor to Disney Infinity and Skylanders, more so Nintendo capitalizing on the fact figures like this were becoming popular. Because
they
Amiibo's
more
in-game
expensive, though?
functionality was never up to par with the others, the Smash Bros. Was the best use for Amiibo, and even then it wasn't very good. You basically train a
Everybody remember
CPU
Hard DK?
fighter. You scan an
CPU
Amiibo
CS?
onto the NFC portion of the Wii U gamepad, and its use, functionality, and compatibility changed between games. Not all Nintendo games supported Amiibo, but those that did, I hope you like nothing. Nintendo made it very clear they wanted Amiibo support to be completely optional. You get simple bonuses
Really?
for scanning an Amiibo, nothing massive. They didn't want to lock major content behind them like Skylanders or Disney
That's
Infinity
good.
were doing.
I like
However,
that.
this is very similar to Nintendo's various other stances they took with new endeavors. We'll never charge money for downloadable content.
Oh.
I just shot a kid in the face. Amiibo did go on to unlock pretty substantial content in games like Animal Crossing Amiibo
Oh,
Festival.
God,
They're
the
actively
dark age of
required, much
Nintendo.
like the other Toys to Life games. But I feel like Nintendo never
But they
found
gave
a
you
true
one, I think.
balance with Amiibo. It always felt like too little or too much. Either it just gave you like 4 coins or an entire mode is locked behind it. The amount of games with Amiibo support is so vast, spanning multiple Nintendo consoles, games published by Nintendo, games not published by Nintendo, throughout so many years, that I don't think talking about the full-on history of Amiibo really fits our current discussion right now. Believe me, I've already talked about Amiibo,
Oh,
and you son
right,
of a
I don't
bitch,
think
I'll
I've seen
do
that.
it again. But Amiibo isn't really all that similar
Zelda.
to how the others we've been talking about operate. Nintendo focuses on these things being more so supplemental collectibles
That looks like a
because
chess
that's how
piece.
all the fans view them. Launching with the Smash Brothers line was the best and worst thing they could have done. It's great because everybody was interested in Amiibo from the get-go. You have characters from every video game series known to man represented. But then when they were running out of Smash Brothers characters,
What do they do?
Waddle Dee. They struggled for a bit after the boom of popularity
Fell
of the
out.
Smash Brothers line in 2014. They definitely overstocked various stores with lines of Amiibo that frankly weren't
$5?
as popular.
Hey,
But
I
as
mean-
time went on, they figured that all
Was that
out.
Yoshi
and while
$15?
Amiibo wasn't as popular as it was back then, it's still a fairly consistent portion of Nintendo's business. Enough where they were willing to experiment with crossbreeding. 2015 brought us Skylanders SuperChargers back to being
There's
developed
so
by
many
Imaginators.
Skylanders games.
This one's gimmick was racing. Alongside new Skylanders, you could buy
Card games on
vehicles,
motorcycles?
cars, boats, planes. These scanned into the game just like any
Does it
other
glow?
Skylander would, and the game itself
Oh.
featured a standard Skylanders adventure with racing missions thrown in here and there, plus an entirely separate racing mode. this is lame as hell. No kid is going, Dad, I want to be that when I grow up. The game itself is very in line with previous Skylanders games. I have no major problem with the game, but this is a pretty weak gimmick.
Literally, my childhood was Call of Duty and Need for Speed.
Like they really brainstormed for weeks to figure out what they could do next. This feels like an agenda to sell more toys rather than something magical, which is what you want with a product like this. Swap Force and Trap Team felt like that. The original Spyro's Adventure felt like that. But this gimmick is something you could have done with the first game. The cars are just cars. You just scan them in. I think it's pretty cool you can actually play with them as toys, but I think what made the previous two games so cool was the fact you kind of go, how did they do this? With this,
also, there wasn't anything like that.
Technology
Hot
in
Wheels
this Skylander
exists.
is in this car. They're fundamentally the same thing. But of course, the Nintendo versions of this game featured exclusive guest characters Turbocharged Donkey Kong and Hammer Slam Bowser. This is fucking nasty. Yes, Nintendo characters in the Skylanders art style. You might be saying, wow, I thought I'd hear you puke after that. No, you see, that's just what puke sounds like now. Interestingly, these can switch between being amiibo figures and being Skylanders figures, which is a really cool touch. And overall, they do a pretty good job fitting within the game. I think it's a little lame.
Do you think that was Nintendo trying to steal
everything works everywhere.
People?
Like all previous figures and gimmicks work on the next game and the game after that. And you can swap figures between consoles. Nope, these can only be used on Nintendo, but it's cool enough to get a pass from me. Donkey Kong was the pack-in for the Wii U version. Bowser came with the Wii and 3DS releases, which were pared-down games, only featuring the racing portion, no adventures. Skylanders, SuperChargers, Racing. You know, after seeing how Trap Team on Wii turned out, I salute them for accepting the fact the Wii can't do everything. SuperChargers is another solid Skylanders, but just doesn't have a ton that's too awful compelling. This was a bit of a turning point. I think many consumers stopped and looked at all of this thinking,
Talk to
is
Persephone.
this really
That's
worth it?
crazy.
It's just another Skylanders
I know
game,
someone named
now with a
Persephone.
racing portion to it.
Like,
You
a
could just buy
legal name is
Mario
Persephone.
Kart 8 and Super Mario 3D World for the Wii U and get a similar amount of playtime and fun out of those, and that would cost significantly less. This game was where sales started to really decline, and that can be attributed to the gimmick just not being anything
how much
to write
they
home
cost
about,
to make these.
but also just how many Toys to Life games were popping up. 2015 was the biggest year for Toys to Life series. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Lego Dimensions.
Suffocating.
Good.
Finish the job if you want.
Yep, one more Tours to Life series. You got the toys?
Oh, I've got leprosy.
You think Disney entering the Toys to Life sphere was expected? Try
Lego.
Lego. I think everybody.
You know, I've
had the
never
idea of,
actually
like,
built a
imagine
Lego
standard
set.
Lego game, but it's Toys to Life, and you scan in the actual Lego figurines.
We
It
had
just
a
made
tote
perfect
of just
sense. So
random
when
pieces
Lego
of Legos.
Dimensions
We
was
just
announced
build
in
whatever we
April of
wanted.
2015, the world just went.
That was-
yeah, no
I've
shit.
never built
But
a
the
Lego
way
set
they were
before.
doing it, oh God, this had potential. Warner Brothers
We had
was
the
going
tote with the
all
one golden
over
brick.
the place, utilizing
The
their own
4x2
IPs,
brick.
getting the rights to ones that were just out there, like The Simpsons, Back to the Future, Portal 2, and making them
Portal 2.
universes in this game. It was all about being a giant crossover between series that were already popular Lego games, series that had Lego sets, series that had never had Lego sets before. This was just a giant excuse to bring together
like a bunch of movies I've
countless
never seen.
franchises that you would have
Like, all of
never
these.
expected in a million years to see crossover. Batman, Lord of the Rings, the Lego Movie,
seen Lord of the
Harry
Rings.
Potter, Ghostbusters,
I've seen Harry
Doctor Who,
Potter.
The Wizard of Oz, The A-Team, Adventure Time, Scooby-Doo, Goonies, Beetlejuice, Gremlins, Sonic the Hedgehog. And the game was a typical Lego adventure,
Wow.
much like a Lego Star Wars or Lego Harry Potter or Lego Batman game.
I did a
but with
Kiddicus
each
video on
level
Lego
and world
games.
from a different franchise.
Thing.
It was like what I wanted Disney Infinity to be, but even crazier considering the diversity of franchises they had under their belt. How did they it up? So Lego Dimensions is half Lego set, half Lego video game. The starter pack comes with Batman, Gandalf,
Does it come
and
with any
Wildstyle,
actual Legos?
Batmobile, and the Portal base.
Oh, it
all
does?
needing to be put together. This is one of the best parts of Lego
You
Dimensions.
have to build
the
them?
life aspect of having
That's
to
so
put Legos
cool.
together. I mean, technically speaking, you don't need to because all you need is the bases the characters, objects, and vehicles connect to. That's what the Portal reads. Without them, these are just regular everyday Lego toys, which is really cool. Makes traveling with them a bitch, though. The other toys you could very easily just toss in your bag and bring them over to a friend's house. Lego Dimensions,
Should
after
honestly
one
make
stomp, it's toast. Some instructions
They
are
should make
given
little
with the starter
cards
pack, but
that
these
kinda like
packs sold
store 'em all.
separately,
You just place,
none
like,
of
a
them came
card
with
on
them.
top of it,
You always
and it
have
has
to
them
go
all.
in-game to figure out how to build them, which didn't make much sense to me. These extra packs are just genuine Lego. You have a chance to sell this to Lego Dimensions owners or just people who want the minifigures, but you're not going to include instructions. So these you
Wait.
don't include instructions for, and you have to access them in-game. But these included with the game have paper instructions as well as in-game instructions. Like, what? Why include
What?
paper instructions with the ones that come with the game, while the
Is
ones
that
that
really
don't
Lego
come with the game don't get
instructions?
anything? would
It's
also
just
be
one
nice to have
piece.
paper
Two
instructions
pieces.
just so you could
3
build everything
pieces.
before you start the game up, rather than turn the game on and spend 30 minutes building Legos. But popping all these things on the portal, we can play the game. And at its core, LEGO Dimensions is incredibly similar to previous LEGO games, but now you're forced to buy the extra characters. Though they all have unique abilities, which sweetens the pot a little bit. I don't know, the 3 starter pack characters' abilities all just kind of feel like an excuse to give each character worth. It's like Wildstyle is the only master builder, so she can build more complex LEGO objects in the game. But I'm just like,
Sure.
why can't I just do that as any character I'm controlling? It's not cool to be like, oh, only Wildstyle can build this object. Let me switch over to her. This is fucking awesome. But that I can tolerate. What I can't is the fact the game forces you to clumsily move the figures around on the portal to complete certain puzzles. Anybody that knows me
Why?
will tell you, never tell Scott to move Legos
Oh,
around on
it's
a
like
glowing
Portal.
I absolutely hate this. So portals appear in the game and you have to swap the characters around to the corresponding colors. But one of your characters might be already on the color you need to swap to.
So you have to move them
lift
somewhere
that
else.
one up, but
Yeah.
that might take them away from the game, so you have to be quick. But then there's this color matching game that I just couldn't get to work properly, and the effect isn't even cool. It doesn't feel like I'm traveling through different portals or dimensions by moving this character to a
God.
different part of the base.
Oh,
it
Lord,
forces
that's
you to
so
be super
much.
close to the portal when you're playing, and when it's wired, there's only so many TV setups this works with. The levels themselves weren't interesting at all to me. I'm sorry, I found them tedious and slow. It was difficult to tell what to do a lot since you have a maximum of 7 characters to switch between, so it's always an act of, okay, this character can't do anything for me to progress past this point. Neither can this one. For some reason, this one works, so now I have to move these fuckers around. Everything from the game design to the real life design feels clunky and making something so simple so needlessly complex. It's like they felt the need to differentiate this from regular LEGO games, so they tacked on gimmicks that just slow the game down and frustrate rather than inspire.
Had the
and shock and
runtime.
awe.
Get your money's worth.
Skylanders felt like you're taking the character and transporting them into the video game. Disney Infinity felt like you were unlocking
Are we ever
content
gonna
by
get, like,
placing the
smart
figure on the
Legos?
base. LEGO
Like-
Dimensions feels like a shell
you
of a
can
regular
build
LEGO
something
game
in real
that's
life with
more
Legos
expensive
and
and has
scan it
useless
into a
gimmicks
game.
attached that don't work. Now I'm playing the Wii U version, to which many would say, Sky, you can't play that version. It's the buggiest edition of the game. You should play the PS4 version. Honey, I just don't think I like this game. It's a shame because the concept here is easily the coolest, most justified Toys to Life experience yet. All the IPs they have covered here, it's one of the craziest crossovers I've ever seen. The characters even have specific dialogue towards one another when you put them together, and on top of that, most of the characters are fully voiced by their original actors.
Okay, now
Barely
that's
any
good.
sound-alikes are used, unlike Disney Infinity. You have level packs containing a character, object, vehicle, and a bonus level in that character's world. Plus,
Where's
the
GLaDOS?
vehicle can be reworked in 3 different ways, which is pretty awesome. Fun packs don't have any levels, just characters and objects. Story packs have handfuls of levels based on movies you can play, kind of replacements for regular LEGO games based on these IPs. And instead of making sequels, they opted to just continually update LEGO Dimensions instead, meaning this
Probably
game
a
got a few
good
years
thing.
worth of new figures and levels released.
Instead of a new
That's
game every
nice,
single
but
year.
it does take away a lot of it for me personally. When I put the Sonic figure on the base and then have to go into the download content manager to download the Sonic level, that
Oof.
takes away so much of the joy and magic of the Toys to Life concept. These
Well,
figures
I
are
guess it's
quite
because it
literally
wasn't
keys to unlock
in it
content in the
before.
game.
I mean, that makes
That's how it's
sense.
always been, but they're not even trying to hide it with this game. It
Balance,
doesn't feel like
$48.
they're bringing these characters to life, which I think is the big selling point of a game like this for kids. Couple that with how the starter pack was $100 and something like a level pack was $30.
That's
I know Lego itself is
Aren't
expensive,
Legos
but
kind
you
of
do get a
expensive?
fun experience out of that putting it all together. But when you translate this over to video games, Lego Dimensions gives you 3 characters in a game that's just as long as any of the other standalone Lego games, which can give you hundreds of playable characters and level design not focus on shoehorned portal gimmicks for 60 or less. The Sonic level pack is worth half of a complete Lego game. You do get Lego with it, but still, it's just not worth it. Well, there was one
I
major
guess
Lego
they-
IP
they
that
had to
didn't
pay
make the cut
licensing
in
probably.
Dimensions, and that was because it was the tentpole feature for Disney Infinity 3.0. That's a weird way to spell fucking goofy. Yeah, 2015 was when Star Wars was coming back hard with The Force Awakens, and with it being the other big acquisition
3.0?
Disney made around
Infinity
that time,
times 3.
it just made sense with Infinity 2.0 being themed around Marvel. But while 2.0 was
Okay.
pretty lackluster in my opinion,
Okay.
3.0 feels like Disney Infinity
I think
was
they're doing it
finally
wrong.
starting to click. It's the exact same format as before, playsets and toy box, though they went for a far bigger variety this time around. We got playsets for not only Star Wars, but Marvel and Disney originals as well. They started to dig deeper and offer more classic Disney characters
No
like
idea who that is.
Baloo and Vanilla Mickey Mouse. It took 3 damn games to get Mickey. The playset's mostly focused on Star Wars, but there was a Marvel multiplayer fighter playset and a couple Disney-themed ones, Inside Out, Finding Dory.
I saw
There
the
was
second
even some
one of
Toy
those.
Box games that were way more fleshed out than the ones from 2.0, like Toy Box Speedway, a racing game where you can play as any Disney Infinity character you
Like
want.
Mario Kart.
And everything just feels way more polished than before. The Toy Box, I gotta be honest, being able to play as any Disney Infinity character from 1, 2, and 3, it makes it so much more fun. I'm kicking Iron Man's ass as Baloo. And you can run around as Donald fucking Duck
Canon
versus a
event.
Star Wars character, add on some flying vehicles and weapons. Disney Infinity 3.0 ain't that bad. I think they put a ton of effort into this iteration and gave it their all. You still can't use previous playsets from older games. I think that's kind of the one thing that stings for me. But 3.0 was set to be a long-lasting game. Instead of developing a
walk that started
4.0 the
shooting,
next
I
year,
think, robots.
Disney opted to release updates for 3.0. You can tell what the newer figures are by the internet symbol on the package, indicating that blue is a privilege, not a right. They had lots of plans for this game, and the future seemed bright. Guess where I'm going with this? In May of 2016, from what seemed out of nowhere, just 8 months after 3.0 released, Disney announced their discontinuation of the Disney Infinity franchise. It was
Really?
shocking because they just released figures and playsets along with announcing plans for future content. Disney Infinity was always
Why?
a decent success, but not enough to have 6 developers on the project with over 40 figures released just for this game alone. Infinity was
that's-
ambitious, but not sustainable. Disney wanted it to be a platform, a place you went to get games based on Disney properties, but did that really make much sense? There are over 100 million PS4 owners, and if you're making an Inside Out game, why limit it to an install base of only those who bought the game with Anakin Skywalker on the front? Why limit it to the confines of the Disney Infinity engine and playstyle? Why lock it behind toys when if you just want to sell toys, just sell toys, and if you want to sell games, just sell games?
But
It felt
don't
like
they
Disney
do that
Infinity
anyway?
wasn't developed as a Toys to Life game at first, but then they forced it into it. But with a game like Skylanders, that felt more genuine. Sure, they were still trying to sell you this junk, but it felt more justified. At least with 3.0, Disney started to package the power discs in regular packaging, so
Oh.
you knew exactly what you were gonna get.
Not
And
random.
the starter pack initially sold for only $64.99, which frankly wasn't that bad. I mean, you were still only getting one small portion of the game and only 2 characters in one playset,
For
but
$65.
hey, it could be worse. Disney not only canceled future plans for Infinity, but closed Avalanche and Disney Interactive in the process. There were loads of figures and playsets in development that just poof. Starting then, Disney decided to just license out their properties to different developers and publishers, to which we got Cars 3 Driven to Win just 1 year later. Some things must die for some to live. This was a bit of a bummer considering 3.0 had loads of potential. It seemed like things were finally going to start to ramp up for
After
Infinity.
the
Plus, there
disappointment
were
of 2.
plans for a 4.0, which would lean way more into the crossover element, featuring a campaign of sorts with all the characters. However, it was either that or Cars 3 Driven to Win. They chose what they chose. The company
Did
saw
they
that
regret
Toys
it?
to Life,
I don't
while
know.
it still could lead to success, was a declining market. 2015 had 3 major competitors doing very similar things on top of Amiibo. Customers were justifiably finding that buying these games every year
Just an
was
entire
too
aisle of
expensive,
those.
not worth it. Their living rooms were clogged. And
Also,
these
it looks like they're
games were
$15?
fundamentally replacements for traditional licensed kids games. If you wanted to get your kid a game based on a movie they liked or just a child-friendly game in general, in 2015, there wasn't a ton of options if you weren't on a Nintendo platform that weren't Toys to Life. So Disney backed out, leaving just LEGO Dimensions and Skylanders. Dimensions continued to release new
And
level
Amiibo,
story and
but
fun
Amiibo
packs
doesn't
alongside content
necessarily
updates
count
for
as
the
Toys to
original
Life.
game, while Skylanders stuck to their usual format, and in 2016, we got Skylanders Imaginators.
It never ends.
Kind of similar
It
story.
never
to
ends.
SuperChargers.
I'm imagining
Well
it
done game.
ending.
It's just more Skylanders, now with the gimmick of creating your own character with these creation crystals. You save it to
Okay.
them, and now this is a Skylander. You can bring it over to a friend's house, another console version of the game. That's really neat.
the other thing
but
you get
much
at the
like
bank in the
SuperChargers,
drive-thru.
this isn't really a whoa, how are you doing that moment. Half of the fun of Skylanders is having the characters as figures, and when you just have a generic thing like this be your figure, it's
Well,
basically
I
just
mean,
a
they're
memory
not
card
gonna
at that
give you
point,
a
so it's
3D
not like
printer
the
with it.
craziest thing in the world. And by this point in the game, it was obvious Disney was right.
Are those
Toys
Wumpa
to
fruits?
Life has declined and wasn't as appealing anymore.
There's
The
Cortex.
magic was gone
I'm
as it
helping
was
that guy
milked
right now.
dry by every company. It was tough to be wowed by putting the toy on the portal and seeing it appear in the game when everybody else had already done it multiple times over at this point. Skylanders are still the best of the main 3 though. I never care for the gameplay, but my god, I at least have to commend their passion and faithfulness. All the characters, all the gimmicks, gimmicks from previous games
And backwards
work
compatible.
here. You can use the Giants, the Swap Force characters, the traps from Traps.
People
the
love backwards
vehicles from
compatibility
SuperChargers,
for good
even
reason.
Donkey Kong
It's
and
very
Bowser still
consumer
work
friendly.
on the Nintendo versions. And all of these Skylanders look different from their original appearances. They went in and updated them all with new animations, sometimes models.
Wow.
That
So they
is
didn't cut
commitment
corners.
and
Yeah.
impressive. Though the Nintendo Switch version, which came out at the system's launch on March 3rd, 2017, it doesn't come with a portal. They decided to just use the NFC on the system, which was something I asked for on the Wii U.
Yep.
But now I know why they didn't do it. The traps and vehicles aren't compatible. Scanning the figures is far more bitchy than it ever was with the
doesn't
portal.
glow.
It was way easier to just have the portal, pop the figure on, and leave it there. Now it's riddled with menus and button prompts, and this is the worst version of the game. You can still use the Nintendo characters, but frankly, it kind of seems the Wii U version is definitive, as you can use the characters and the vehicles and traps. Imaginators was the last of the mainline Skylanders games
Oh, that's
during
the last
its
one.
initial run, and
Oh.
it kind of feels like they almost knew
They'll bring
that
it back,
going
I'm
in.
sure.
I know they didn't, as there were plans for more Skylanders Imaginators content and even a game following it. But just the fact that the gimmick is, we're giving you the ability to make your own Skylander. Villains throughout the series are now playable via their own figures.
It's like they
And
give
Spyro
you a
plays
little
big
bit.
part
They're
in
like,
the
you
intro
want
of the
this,
game,
but we're
which
gonna
kinda feels like we're coming full circle.
make
Made a
multiple
Crash
games.
Bandicoot figure and level, which is a really
Banuka
cute
boy.
form of fan service. The figures themselves are huge. They were pretty expensive this time around, but they really made
How
them
much?
super high quality. I don't know, this feels like a fitting conclusion to the series. But even if it was never meant to be that, the game sold quite poorly. It was obvious the fad was over. Or was it?
What is Starlink?
Yes. Ubisoft announced plans for their own Toys to Life game at
Oh,
E3
no,
2017.
Ubisoft.
Starlink Battle for Atlas. The crotches on these guys. After everybody else was obliterated, these guys swung into E3 announcing a spaceship
Oh,
game
remember
with
E3?
toys. It released in 2018 for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, with the Nintendo Switch version coming with Star Fox content, which meant nobody played it on PS4 and Xbox. You connect your controller to this shell, and then connect these different ships and weapons to it alongside this little figure of your pilot.
And it
So, this does feel a
models
bit
that?
magical. Like, it's pretty wicked trying this out for the first time. There's no batteries or wires or anything, just snap it on and everything appears in game. Very
That's cool.
impressive.
I
But
was
after
just talking
that,
about with Legos.
I'm good. The game controls well, it looks good, but it's really repetitive. Just fly around, get into dogfights, deliver things. The world can feel
Sounds
kind
kinda
of
fun.
barren and not super interesting. It's okay, but now we're spending hundreds of dollars on it.
Hundreds
I
of
think
dollars?
Ubisoft knew this, considering they sold a digital version of the game that did not require any of the toys, and after a bit they stopped selling the toys altogether and just supported the game with updates until dropping it altogether. Much like the others, I can tell this is quality, and the Toys to Life aspect does enhance the experience to some extent. It's really cool, but after that first time playing it, I don't
The
care to
novelty
go
wore
back
off.
to this. It's not a bad game, just not one that I'd ever play without a gun to my head. When they started out, you can understand how these games felt really cool, but after nearly 10 years
And why
of their
Skylanders
existence,
made a
they
ton
have
of money
to do
'cause they
some
were first.
crazy stuff to warrant their existence now.
Yep.
Because after a while, by 2015, Toys to Life lost its magic. And instead, it just felt exploitative. The prices of these things don't lie. Nobody wants them anymore. In the end,
That's the Wii U
most
version.
of these were just a complete waste.
Ah, there we go. He said the word.
Wasted.
There's still more that can be done.
Hey,
How?
Hand me that disposable cup of water.
This is glass.
Yep. See, that's the spirit. If you need any more Skylander starter packs, Dex is willing to offload those onto you for half your regular price.
This has all been
What's the
free
regular
so
price?
far.
This offer goes away at midnight.
It's 2 in the morning.
Fine. I'll extend it to next year.
What kind of business are you running here? How do you make money? Why is your boss 14?
13, you ass!
When we don't make money, we make up for an age miscalculations.
Yeah,
But-
I have 2 birthdays.
I have none.
You have no birthdays? It doesn't seem very wasteful.
Saves money on a gift.
Wait!
That's true.
The waste chasers don't exist! This is just a front!
I prefer the term, this was a front. Destroy the evidence.
You were just
What
scamming
evidence?
innocent people looking to waste their time and money into taking your garbage for free.
I wasn't trying to be malicious. I was
Really?
trying to help out my cousin Dex. For his 12th birthday coming up, he wanted room for more Skylanders figures, so I had to find a way to get rid of the old ones. What am I supposed to do? The dump won't take these.
Wait, this is
So
a
they're-
scam? You son of a bitch! Now I'm stuck with them, all because you have a cousin?
Is it a bad time to say I have multiple?
These
I have
things
multiple
are
cousins.
worthless! Nobody buys them anymore! What am I supposed to do with them
The
now?
dump will take them.
I can see if Dex wants them.
Rex, you're a disgrace to the Force. I joined this company because of a passion for waste, not because I was duped by a 9-year-old.
I think he's turning 7 next fall.
If you're gonna treat this
Oh.
waste with respect, I'm gonna treat it like the garbage it was always meant to be.
But jab farms. It's the title, not a command. The music.
Well, that was a learning experience.
Yeah, it
the only
was.
Toys to Life platform I ever got into at the time was Amiibo, and even then it was pretty begrudgingly. But looking back at everything,
Well, I don't
these
think he was
things
the
are rotting
age
on clearance
target.
shelves and in landfills for a reason.
Or the demographic.
They still brought joy to millions of players. They were a waste, but they still had some purpose. Oh, technically speaking, they had more use than most regular figurines.
That is true.
One man's trash is another man's treasure. Well, none of these games are necessarily my thing, and locking in-game content from an already overpriced game behind figures sold separately leads to a huge waste of time and money on the customer's end. The Waste Chasers showed me that even some of the biggest wastes of energy on the planet exist for a reason. To exploit young children and give landfills a purpose. Even God has epiphanies.
Why was he put on that? Okay. We learned a lot in this one. I didn't realize they made, was that like 7 Skylanders games? Maybe, was it 6 or 7? It felt like that. I mean, it might not have been that much. They're all very similar. I lost track. It's just Skylanders subtitle. Skylanders subtitle. And they just add one little new gimmick every single time to warrant, you know, a new game coming out. Just kind of like some games adding a story mode or a PvE mode to the second version of the game, and then that PvE mode never comes out. So yeah, that's quite the thing. But this was Toys to Life. Shout out to the patrons. I could not do this if it was not for them. This video is 3 years ago, and it has a lot of views. Might have the most views of like any Scott Waz video I've ever watched. And this was suggested in the comment section of the last video, which was, oh god, what was the last video? Last video was it was, I can already see the title. It was WiiWare games. Yeah, where I learned about WiiWare and that. So yeah, I learned a lot about these Toys to Life. I've obviously never played them. I literally just got an amiibo, like, literally this week. Taylor sent me the package with an NES game of Duck Hunt and an amiibo for Duck Hunt. And that's the first time I've ever owned. Dude, the NES cartridge is so cool. It's so cool just to, like, have. It just looks cool. It looks retro and cool. And I think that's really awesome. So, got that. Got my very first amiibo, my very first NES cartridge. So, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to the next one. Let me know what that should be. I hope you're subscribed and have a wonderful rest of your day. But until next video, take care and keep the music.